Here's a secret that may surprise you. When you want something but can live without having it, you have upped the odds of your having it. This is one of the ironies of life. As long as you are playfully desiring something but not addicted to your having it, the universe will most likely quickly bring it to you. But as soon as you say, "I must have this," you begin to push it away. Why? Because you are sending out an energy to repel what you say you want. Because you are focused on need and not in the moment. Because you haven't learned the ultimate secret. Let go. Again, the ultimate secret to attracting whatever you want is to want it without needing it. When you are detached to the outcome, you disconnect from everything that could sabotage your success. When you state your intention and are happy whether you achieve it or not. This is a delicate balance, but it's the major secret to how the universe works. In other words, in the world of everyday reality, struggling to achieve something causes the opposite forces within yourself to kick into play. But when you come from an inner place of serenity and you go with the flow towards your wishes, you have upped the odds of your achieving them. Your peace will attract peace. Years ago, I discovered that most of us, myself included, don't like to let go and allow because there's nothing for us to grapple with. There's no drama. Most of us feel that if we can't get in there and fight and struggle, we don't feel like we're accomplishing anything or getting anywhere. The struggle gives a sense of accomplishment. At least you can say, "Hey, I tried." The ego gets a big rush out of struggle. The ego gets to feel that it is doing something worthwhile. Well, that's okay. If your ego needs a pat on the back, let it struggle for some of the things that you desire. But the truth is, you don't have to struggle at all. Again, it can be another way, an easier way. I used to teach a class called The Inner Game of Writing. It was modeled after the work of Tim Gallwey, who wrote The Inner Game of Tennis and co-authored several other inner game books. What I discovered was that we have at least two distinct beings within us, not personalities so much as aspects of our mind. Gallwey called them Self 1 and Self 2. Self 1 can be likened to your ego, the part of you that wants to control. Self 2 can be likened to the inner master within you, the part of you that is connected to all things. The job of Self 1 is to select what you want and let go. The job of Self 2 is to bring it to you. Gallwey learned that when people learn to let go and trust, they got what they wanted more often than not, and it came much easier than if they fought for it. The same concept works in your life. Choose what you want and let God or the universe, whatever that means to you, bring it to you. Let it orchestrate the events that will manifest the thing you desire. Give up needing to know how you will manifest anything. Knowing how can become a limitation. If you choose to manifest something but can't consciously see a way to create it, you may give up. The conscious mind can't see all of the possibilities. Surrender control, and you free the universe to bring you whatever you want. Again, when you know what you want and are clear, you will be drawn to the thing you want, and events will pull it to you. Dan Poynter is a dear friend and internationally recognized expert on self-publishing. He's written several books, including the famous Self-Publishing Manual. Dan also conducts weekend seminars in his home on how to self-publish and market your own book. He's been offering this seminar for over 10 years, has helped hundreds of people, but has always struggled to get people to register for the event. One day, Dan called me for my help. I want you to write a brochure for me that is so powerful that people sign up for my seminar without my having to do a thing. Well, notice what Dan was doing. He knew what he didn't want, to pull teeth to get people to come to his seminar, and he knew what he did want, to have people call and register easily and effortlessly. When I agreed to create a new brochure for Dan, what did he have to do? Let go. He had to let go. He had to trust that he hired the right guy and all would be well. So I designed a flyer for Dan. He loved it, and he printed it. A few weeks later, I called him and he said, "My seminar is already sold out." "It is?" I yelled, delighted, but Dan stopped me in my tracks. "But it isn't due to your flyer," he said. "It isn't?" Dan went on to say, "The seminar sold out 2 weeks ago, but I only mailed out the new flyer last week. There had been a delay in the mailing." I asked, "Then what happened? Why did it sell out?" Dan didn't know. But here's my guess. As you know by now, the energy you give out brings the results you get. When Dan stated his new intention and allowed me to create a new flyer for him, he was changing the inner signal he was sending out. Once you change the way you are inside, the outer world changes. Dan didn't even have to mail his flyer out. People picked up on the signals in the air and responded. Crazy? Well, maybe so. But as I've pointed out throughout this recording, the energy you give out attracts and creates the results you get. Change your inner energy, and you change your results. The following story reveals how one of my greatest dreams came true. I am sharing it with you in the hope that it will inspire you to go for your own dreams. It's all about the power of setting an intention and then letting go of it. I wanted to have an audio program of my own in the Nightingale Conant catalog for many years. I wanted it for the prestige as well as for the profit. I wanted to be among their roster of greats: Tony Robbins, Tom Peters, Deepak Chopra, Bob Proctor, Brian Tracy, and Wayne Dyer. But until autumn 1998, this desire had only been a dream. Despite the fact that I always sent Nightingale Conant my new books as soon as they were published, I could never seem to ignite their interest in my work. But I never gave up. I simply held on to the dream, trusted that something would give sooner or later, and kept doing my thing. And then something amazing happened. One day, a man began sending me email asking numerous questions about marketing in general and P.T. Barnum in particular. I answered all of his questions, glad to help. Then one day I received a shock. The man sent me an email saying, "If you ever want your material considered by Nightingale Conant, let me know. I'm their marketing project manager." This amazing story illustrates many lessons. The power of a dream. I held my vision of what I wanted for years. The miracle that comes from having someone who believes in you. The true magic that occurs when you are in alignment with your life's purpose and doing what makes your heart sing. And the power of letting go. I'm sure there are other lessons in this story, lessons that you see and I don't. Again, I am sharing this with you in the hope that it sets your own heart on fire, awakens something in your soul, and urges you to go for and get your own dreams. And here's something else to think about. According to research done at Spindrift Foundation on the power of prayer, a "Thy will be done" prayer gets more than twice as many results as a specific "Give me this" prayer. That's why it's so important to end your request for anything you want with the magic words, "this" or "something better." When I was writing my book on P.T. Barnum, I went to the famous showman's grave in Bridgeport, Connecticut. I had a moving experience there, but what I want to share with you here is what I saw written on P.T. Barnum's gravesite marker. To my surprise, carved in his simple concrete headstone were these magical words, words that Barnum relied on throughout his colorful life. "Not my will, but thine be done." Those magic words worked for Barnum, helping him to survive personal and professional disasters and to become one of America's first millionaires. And those words can work for you too. In other words, trust the universe. Want something better? You can ask for whatever you want to do, be, or have, but also be willing for the universe to give you something better. End all of your requests with the phrase, "this" or "something better," and you will be letting the universe know that "thy will be done" is of highest importance. Why is this so? Because the universe can see the big picture while your ego can't. Your job is to ask for what you want, and then to act on the inner nudges you get to do things like make phone calls, write letters, visit a certain person, or whatever. Bob Proctor, in his wonderful book, You Were Born Rich, puts it this way: learn to follow the quiet voice within that speaks in feelings rather than words. Follow what you hear inside rather than what others may be telling you to do. The universe itself will act to move you to what you want and move what you want to you. All you have to do is let go while acting on your inner prompts. Let go of fear, doubt, worry, disappointment, and any other negative emotion that might make you feel low. The famous poet and sage Rumi wrote something that may help you here. Some things that don't happen keep disasters from happening. Now think about it. What you're being asked to do is trust. Trust that when something happens, it's good. And trust that when something you want doesn't happen, it's good too. Wayne Dyer has an interesting book out called The Power of Intention. It claims to teach you how to get whatever you want. A friend read the book and said the title should be How to Get What You Want by Wanting What You Get. Well, exactly. The trick to manifesting whatever you want is to trust that whatever you get is what you wanted to manifest in the first place. You attracted it. The more you can understand this balance of wanting and allowing, or desiring and letting go, the more you will be happy in every moment. Some things that look like they are in our best interest are often not going to serve us when we see the big picture. We have to trust and let go, realizing that everything that happens is for our highest good. I'm riveted by the book A Lifetime of Riches, the biography of Napoleon Hill, the author of the classic book Think and Grow Rich. Not only did this man struggle for 20 years to write the definitive guide to success, but he experienced poverty, his life was threatened, his backers were murdered, he suffered from bouts of hopelessness, and his family suffered beyond all understanding. He was not an overnight success. One thing that stood out in Hill's life story was his ability to turn the negative into the positive. He always looked for what some people call that silver lining in the dark cloud. As I thought about Hill's life, I realized I've been noticing this ability to see the good in the bad practiced by others, too. I was at a meeting with my friend Mark Joyner, internet pioneer and best-selling author. I overheard Mark talking to a man who had just gone through hell due to the FTC. Mark listened to the man's sad story and then said, "Turn it into something good." Now, this is remarkable advice. It's the kind of thing Napoleon Hill would have said. It goes against what most people ever even attempt to try. The whole idea of taking whatever happens to you and turning it into something good seems, at first glance, preposterous. But this also seems to be a key to success. I remember P.T. Barnum offering to buy a rival's elephant. He sent a telegram stating his offer. His competitors took Barnum's telegram and ran it as an ad, saying, "Here's what Barnum thinks of our elephant." Well, instead of being upset, Barnum decided to join with those competitors. That gave birth to the famous Barnum and Bailey Circus. Barnum took the experience and turned it into something good. What I, Barnum, and Napoleon Hill are doing is one thing: taking the so-called negative experiences in life and turning them into something good. I call this TIISG. It stands for Turn It Into Something Good. You have the ability to do this. It's a choice. No matter what happens, take a breath and ask, how can I turn this into something good? The question redirects your mind. Instead of looking at the problem, you are now looking for solutions. This is a brilliant way to learn how to operate your own brain. You become the master, not the slave, of your life. Andrew Carnegie, that tycoon who challenged Napoleon Hill to undertake his 20-year quest to uncover the secrets of success, confessed that the principal key to his own staggering success was the ability to operate his own mind. He told Napoleon Hill, "I am no longer cursed by poverty because I took possession of my own mind, and that mind has yielded me every material thing I want and much more than I need. But this power of mine is a universal one, available to the humblest person as it is to the greatest." It all begins with the basic TIISG question: how can I turn this into something good? The answer will bring you new choices, happiness, and may lead to wealth you never dreamed of before. I attended Bob Proctor's 3-day course called The Science of Getting Rich in Denver during 1999. It was a mind-expanding experience. But one idea that I got from Bob's course that I want to give you right now is this quote: "Everything that happens in your life is moving you in the direction of your goals." Now think about this. That statement says that everything, without fail, without exception, is moving you toward your dreams. So if something happens that you feel is bad, remember that it happened to move you forward. Your job is to find the positive in the negative, or at least to trust that there is a positive there, even if you can't see it at the moment. Now, this might be tough to accept at first, but the truth is, it is an enlightened way of living your life. I love the statement and thank Bob Proctor for saying it. What it tells me is that I have to let go and trust that life itself is taking me to the things I desire. And as I let go, trust, and give thanks for my life, I feel different. I radiate a different vibration to the world, and better things and experiences come to me. Again, the whole secret is in learning to simply let go. But what do I do if I let go is the question I get the most. If I let go, don't I just sit there? You usually still have to do something to achieve your dreams. That something might be as little as answering the phone, or making a call, or buying a book, or joining an association, or answering an email. I have no idea what that action will be for you to achieve your dream, but you usually have to do something, however small or large a step. But the magic answer to the question of what action to do next is this. You want to take what I call inspired action. Inspired action is any action you take based on an inside nudge. In other words, an inspired action is when you suddenly get a desire to drive to the store. You may have no idea why you need to go to the store right now, but something within you is urging you out the door. Follow that hunch. It may lead to your goal. At the store, you may meet the right person, or find the right product, or pick up the right magazine that will lead you to completing your dream. For example, about 20 years ago, I was working for a major oil company. When I left for lunch, I always went to the food court at the closest mall. Always. Talk about being stuck in a rut. One day, I decided to do something different. As I left for lunch that day, I felt an impulse to turn left where I always turned right. Now, this may sound like nothing to you, but it meant the world to me. It was like leaving the planet and going to Mars. I was suddenly on an adventure. To my sheer amazement, only a few blocks away was an Italian deli. Now try to picture this. I'm an Italian living in Texas. I hadn't had good Italian food since leaving Ohio about 20 years earlier. To stumble across an Italian deli by accident during lunch hour was almost miraculous. I went inside and met the owner. He was from Italy. He made me a sandwich that was so good I still drool today as I think about it. I was so grateful that I took his menu back to my office, shut my door, and created a whole new menu for him. I wrote new copy, designed it, and then printed him 500 copies. I then posted that new menu all over the company building. The next day, when I went back to the deli, the owner met me with tears in his eyes. His business had been booming all day. His lunch hour was packed with customers. He didn't know how to thank me. Well, I didn't need to be thanked. All I wanted was another sandwich. But this miracle didn't stop there. We became friends. When my ex-wife and I needed to move and we began looking for a place to move to, the owner of the deli sold us his house. He wanted to move, but because he built that house for himself, he didn't want just anyone in it. When he learned I needed a new home, he arranged for us to buy his house. And all because I took inspired action. Once you state your intention, you need to watch the signals you get and act instantly on them when you see them. When I was working for a major oil company and hated my job, I used to pray for a way out. This was 20 years ago, and I felt lost. I felt trapped in my 9-to-5 prison. I would drive 35 miles each way, to and from a job I hated so much I would cry as I drove. It was pretty sad. But I stated my intention to break free. I then looked for the signals. Every day I would pass a street sign named Quitman. I never thought much of it until I realized it was a signal for me. The sign was on the freeway for people to know where to exit, but for me it meant quit, man. And I did quit my job. I've been happier ever since. Here's another example. While writing my book, a dear friend paid us an unscheduled visit. The conversation was mostly about energy, remote viewing, mind over matter, and other such esoteric conversation. During our talk, our friend raved about a book called Infinite Mind. She told us she read and reread the book, underlined passages, and thought it was pure genius. I immediately took that as a signal for me to get the book. Why? Because the whole situation reeked of synchronicity. The fact that our friend appeared while I was writing that book seemed odd. I immediately took inspired action. As soon as our friend left, I ran upstairs, jumped online, and ordered the book from Amazon for overnight delivery. Not only that, but while in this buying mode, I also ordered Manifesting Your Heart's Desires, Book 1, and Manifesting Your Heart's Desires, Book 2. They all turned out to contain key information, and all this from an innocent event that others might have dismissed. So here's how to make inspired action work for you. Step 1. Set an intention. An intention is your declaration about your dream or goal that you want to be, do, or have. This is your request of your subconscious, unconscious, and the universe itself. The clearer your intention, the better your results. One of my intentions was, I intend to have a best-selling audio tape program with Nightingale Conant. Another was, I intend to find a new place to eat lunch. Step 2. Follow your hunches. Watch the signals. Listen to your intuition. If you get a desire to make a plan of action, well, so be it. Do it. But if you get a desire to go for a walk, or to watch television, or to surf the web, then do that. You never know where your inspired action will take you. But because you set an intention, step 1, your intuition will find a shortcut to your dreams. Inspired action works because your ego can only see limited terrain, while the universe can see it all. Your ego might say, write a business plan. Inspired action comes from the bigger picture, which you can't always see until you've taken the actions you're being inspired to take. Finally, the more you can quiet your mind, still your thoughts, and relax your body, the more you will hear the inner voice nudging you in the direction of your dreams. When it speaks, move. That's inspired action. Do it, and you'll find amazing new shortcuts direct to the fulfillment of your stated desires. It's an easy path, more fun, more relaxed, and usually more profitable than planned action and constant struggle. Try it and see. A secret about money. Let me tell you a secret about money. One day, Pat O'Brien, a wonderful Texas musician, well known in Europe, walked into a mastermind group we are in and announced, "One day I'm going to write a book titled The Myth of Passive Income." Well, he was joking. Everyone laughed. But I heard an opportunity. I said, "You ought to write that book right now." Everyone shut up. They looked at me. "It's a great idea," I explained. "People think passive income is doing nothing all day and making money while you sleep. It isn't quite like that. So let's blow the whistle and tell people the truth." Well, Pat was beginning to learn how to act when opportunity popped up. "I'll do it," he said. We met in the parking lot after the group meeting. He asked me, "Would you go ahead and write a letter asking people making money online if they would contribute an article to our book? We just want to know what a typical day for them is like. I bet they don't sit around doing nothing." Well, suddenly I was the co-author in this project. I see opportunities and jump on them too. I agreed. I went home, went to my computer, and drafted a letter. It was simple. I asked successful business people online if they would tell us what a day was like in their passive world. I sent the letter to Pat. He approved it almost instantly. I then sent it out to every list owner I knew. This all happened within maybe 3 hours. Within 24 hours, we had wonderful articles by David Garfinkel and Tom Antion. Later the same day, I heard from Jim Edwards, Yannick Silver, Johann Mock, and other online giants, all agreeing to send articles for our book. Now note what happened here. A spontaneous joke became a project. That project began to take form within 3 hours. And within 1 day, the book was being written, and not by Pat or me. So what does money like? Money likes speed. That's the secret few know about money. Money comes to those who act fast. If you think, wander, question, doubt, plan, meet, discuss, or in any other way drag your feet, money goes to the next person in line. If you want to know how I've managed to write so many books and articles, it's because I act fast. This very section is an example. 20 minutes ago, I got the idea to write something about money liking action. I thought I should write it someday. Then I thought, why not right now? Well, here you go. It's done. You now know the secret, too. When you get an inspired nudge to take action, then take action. Don't wait. Act. Act right now. What are you waiting to do? Many people say they don't want to take any action, that they just want to let go and let God. That reminds me of the story of the man with a beautiful garden in his backyard. One day a man walked by, saw it, and stopped to admire it. The stranger said, "You have an amazing garden here." And the owner said, "Thank you." "It's really God's garden, isn't it?" the stranger asked. "Yes, it is," replied the owner, "but you should have seen it when God had it all by himself." The point is, God, universe, spirit, or whatever name feels right for you, provides us with the basics, and we have to do something with what we've been given. If we just allow things to grow in the backyard, we'll have a jungle, not a garden. Someone has to tend to the earth. Take Jesus, for example. According to Bruce Barton, author of the 1925 bestseller, The Man Nobody Knows, Jesus was a businessman. He hired 12 employees, inspired them, and sent them out to spread his message. That's sound marketing. That's inspired action. Or take Phineas Parker Quimby, the man credited with being the father of New Thought or modern spirituality. Martin Larson calls Quimby the advertising therapist in his book, New Thought, or a Modern Religious Approach. He wrote, "From 1847 to 1859, the tireless searching Quimby went from town to town offering mental therapy through the power of faith. He distributed a brochure in 1855 which repudiated the mesmeric hypnosis technique and which read in part, 'Dr. P. P. Quimby would respectfully announce that he will attend those wishing to consult him in regard to their health, and, as his practice is unlike all other medical practices, it is necessary to say that he gives no medicine and makes no outward applications, but simply sits down by the patients, tells them their feelings and what they think is their disease. If the patients admit that he tells them their feelings, then his explanation is the cure. And if he succeeds in correcting their error, he changes the fluids of the system and establishes the truth or health. The truth is the cure." As you can see, even the great father of metaphysical healing handed out flyers in order to get new business. He didn't sit and do nothing. The point is, letting go doesn't mean do nothing. It means take action based on your inspiration. If you feel moved from within to make a call, or run an ad, or take a walk, or build a community, then do so. Just have the spirit of non-attachment as you do. Non-attachment is letting go. Again, when you want something and are fine if you get it or not, then you are most likely going to receive it. You must let go of your attachment to success to attract success. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. When I went to Italy in 2004, I visited many people and places, from Michelangelo's tomb in Florence to the Pope at the Vatican. I found Italy to be a country rich in ancient history but poor in current prosperity. I met some snooty people and some warm ones. Sister Mary Elizabeth is one of the warm ones. She's the personal secretary to the Mother General of the Sisters of St. Philippine Order, which serves very poor women and children in third world countries. She once told me my ideas helped her raise funds to feed homeless and starving children around the world. It was a very gratifying thing to hear, to be sure. But odd things began to happen. While in Rome, I checked my email. I was stunned to see an email from my sound engineer telling me the master audio tapes to a program I had invested thousands of dollars to create had vanished. He had no explanation. He runs one of the best studios in the world, and he lost the masters. And here I am, on the other side of the planet, unable to do a thing about it. I couldn't believe it. Things got even stranger. We hired a driver in Italy to take us to Pompeii and Naples. We had a great day. But at the end of the day, while unloading the car, he suddenly told me he wanted more money than agreed on. He made the entire day feel ugly. Later that night, we went out to eat. It was our last evening in Rome. We had a nice dinner. But when we went to pay, we were told by an unfriendly French waitress, speaking only Italian, that their credit card machine was down. Well, we had no cash. We ended up leaving, promising to send them money for our meal. We got back to the States safely, but the strange world seemed to stay with us. I was told I owe thousands of dollars in back taxes on property I own. My agent was supposed to negotiate a deal with a publisher and ended up getting fired over it. We decided to go to Las Vegas and see some shows to relax. But on the flight there, I had chest pains and couldn't breathe very well. I thought I was having a heart attack. The next day, the house doctor at the Venetian took one look at me and sent me to the emergency room. I had never been in any hospital before, so this was scary. And with my chest pains, I thought I was never going home again. Several hours later, and $5,000 lighter, I was told I had asthma. We returned home, but the strangeness continued. One day, while I was typing a chapter, an entire sentence repeated itself on my screen. At first I thought I imagined it. I deleted the sentence. But as I watched the screen, the sentence retyped itself on my monitor. Talk about bizarre. I assumed I had a virus and just shook my head. But what in the world was happening here? One day I drove out of town and spent the day with my chiropractor and dear friend, Dr. Rick Barrett. I needed to chill, to relax, to get some distance. I told him about these misadventures. I was feeling stressed to the max as I relayed all of what I just shared with you. I added, I feel like I picked up a curse in Italy. Nothing has been right since. Rick looked right at me and said, maybe this all ties in. Huh? Maybe you are being attacked by the dark forces, he explained. You went to Rome. You went to the Vatican. You saw the Pope. These are all holy things. Yes, go on. Well, Rick continued, maybe your move into the light is causing the dark to try to stop you. I'm not sure I follow, I said. Rick went on to explain, whenever we go to Mexico to do our mission work, something bad happens. Me, my wife, other doctors, and other volunteers are planning to go to some truly impoverished areas and donate our time, medicine, and practice to help people there. It's a good cause. Yet every time we plan it, something happens. One time, I fell off a ladder 1 week before going. Another time, a woman was denied entry into Mexico because her papers weren't in order. It just seems like when you go to the light, sometimes the dark comes after you. I didn't agree with his assessment. I'd say a part of us was showing its ugly head. When Rick fell off the ladder, it was the part of him that resisted the good another part of him wanted to do. He attracted the experience. It's the same with me. As I grew closer to completing my book, I almost sabotaged my own effort to make it a success. No evil force was out to get me. It was simply a part of me that resisted my intention. In short, I had to get clear. I had to find out why a part of me was resisting what I wanted to actually attract. I did that too, or else you would not be listening to this recording now. But back to the conversation with Dr. Barrett. How do we reinforce ourselves so the light wins? I asked him. Rick said, you have to tell yourself that nothing will stop you, that you won't give up, that you won't give in. Sometimes you just have to turn it over to God or the universe and say, I don't see the way. And there's the secret. You maintain your overall goal and you move toward it, always being sensitive to something better being offered, but you are not attached to the outcome either. As Deepak Chopra wrote in his book, The Spontaneous Fulfillment of Desire, intention is not simply a whim. It requires attention, and it also requires detachment. Once you've created the intention mindfully, you must be able to detach from the outcome and let the universe handle the details of fulfillment.